So a lot of people have been asking me for an update about me suing Facebook. Yeah, I'm that crazy person who's suing Facebook. Well, I do have an update. It's on. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it is me, and I'm making a very quick video to follow up with all the questions people have been asking me about suing Facebook. And the reason I'm suing Facebook is not because I'm a crazy person. It's because I am a social media person. I do a lot of business on social media. Facebook specifically, it's a huge part of what I do. It's how I market my books. It's what can turn my catalogue of books into something that can sustain my family and pay my mortgage. For the last 6 months, I have been locked out of Facebook due to a glitch with their Two-Factor Authentication system. Because I've got such a big footprint on Facebook, I have to be part of this program called Facebook Protect, which is basically going to prevent people hacking your account. That's great. And I used to use my phone and had Google Authenticator to be able to enter a 6-digit code every time I tried to log on to a different browser, which was fine until my phone went through a factory reset. My Google Authenticator lost the ability to generate that code. And I found myself stuck in a situation where I couldn't log into Facebook without that 6-digit code, and the only way I could get that 6-digit code apart from the Google Authenticator, which had been deleted from my phone, was by logging onto my Facebook account. So it was a catch-22 situation. I couldn't log on without that 6-digit code, couldn't get that 6-digit code unless I was logged on. And what should have been a 15-minute phone call with one of my reps from Facebook got nowhere. It's taken me 6 months, 126 emails, 12 individual representatives I have spoken to on email, 3 support tickets, and nothing. I'm still locked out of my account, which is frustrating. I mean, that is a very frustrating situation, but what made it even more frustrating to me was the fact that while I was locked out of my Facebook account and therefore unable to log into the advertising dashboard and stuff like that, they continued to run the adverts that I had set up and continued to charge money for those adverts that I had set up. I wasn't able to go in and adjust them, optimize them, or even switch them off. I couldn't even switch off the adverts. And that was both my blessing and my curse in terms of Facebook, because if they're charging me money for something that I can't get because of a glitch in their system, then that's a breach of contract. So after 6 months, all these emails, all this beating my head against the wall, I finally just said to myself, you know what, I'm going to sue Facebook. And I did. In a small claims court, I filed a complaint against them for breach of contract. And I felt like I was a crazy person having to do that. And it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, filing a small claims complaint is pretty much within the scope of anybody out there, but it's kind of an intimidating thing to do if you've never done it before. And Facebook make it deliberately difficult to actually find out who to put the complaint against. There are things called, agents of service. You need to find Facebook's agent of service, and Facebook's agent of service is connected to Meta, which is what used to be Facebook, and there are all sorts of barriers to make it difficult to file a legal action against Facebook. I imagine precisely because of this problem. But I have managed to navigate all of that, and my case jacket, my file jacket or whatever it's called, in New Jersey was updated a few days ago with the fact that a lawyer from New York, quite a fancy lawyer actually, has been assigned to my case. So there is a legitimate case proceeding, Roland William Hume versus Facebook Inc. Isn't that bonkers? And it is completely bonkers. It's so frustrating to me that what should have been solved in a 15-minute phone call 6 months ago has led to me having to do this. But perhaps the worst part of it is discovering that I'm very far from being the only person this has impacted. I made a couple of videos about it. I haven't made a big deal about it, but I've had people emailing me and reaching out to me saying, I'm a social media person. I got locked out of my Facebook account because of this Two-Factor Authentication glitch. Nobody is helping me. I can't do my job. And multiple, dozens of people, and that's probably just a drop in the ocean. The fact is, Facebook is broken. They have this Two-Factor Authentication system, but if you're one of the tiny minority of people who fall through the cracks in a system that's broken, there is no way to resolve that issue. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in Facebook advertising, so I have representatives at Facebook I can email who will respond, real live human beings, and even they couldn't get Facebook to give me access back to my account. And I am very fortunate in the fact that they screwed up and they were charging me money for adverts I was running when I didn't have access to my account, and that gives me the opportunity to blow a whistle and say that is a breach of contract. But there are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands potentially of people out there who have Facebook pages or Facebook accounts or do advertising or do social media management or anything like that, who are locked out of their account and they have nobody to turn to. I have a rep at Facebook because I have spent so much money at Facebook. If you haven't spent that much money at Facebook, you don't have a single human soul you can reach out to. There is no chat helpline. There is no email address you can email. There are forms you can fill in, but I have filled those forms in dozens of times and never received a response. Facebook simply don't care. I don't think they don't care because they're malicious. I think it's the fact that they have a system that's broken and they have 1 billion users, and they've done the math and worked out that such a small percentage of people fall through these cracks that it is worth more to them financially just to leave them to the ether than actually employ people to try and solve this problem for them. Or maybe they're trying to fix the problem in the background. I hope that's the case. But in the meantime, that doesn't help people who get locked out of their Facebook account, especially if they work in the advertising and marketing industry. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. This is true. When I first got locked out of my Facebook account completely was the day I began a freelance contract for a pharmaceutical advertising agency, monitoring their Facebook pages, and it was quite a substantially lucrative contract, and I was really looking forward to doing that, and I wasn't able to because I wasn't able to log into my Facebook account. And if you're not able to log into your Facebook account, you can't access pages or the advertising dashboard or anything like that. So being locked out of my advertising account cost me tens of thousands of dollars from a job I wanted to do. For my own books, I market my books on Facebook, and I have very, very healthy return on investment on advertising. That's supposed to be what supports my family, and I can't do it if I'm locked out of my Facebook account. And despite having spent tens of thousands of dollars previously with Facebook, nobody gives a shit. I think that's what's so frustrating about it, is that Facebook has become so huge that even somebody who spends tens of thousands of dollars is considered not worth helping because of the scale. They must have so much money being thrown at them through advertising. They're like, oh, this guy, he's only a 5-figure advertiser, screw him. It's basically, that's what it feels like. But look, I've got somewhere. It's a thing. I remember in Avengers Infinity War, there's the scene where Tony Stark in his Iron Man armor starts really wailing into Thanos and rockets him and punches him and stuff like that, and Thanos gets reeled back and he feels just a little drop of blood and he goes, all that for a drop of blood. You know what? That's how I feel with launching this court case against Facebook. It's like, I'm nobody, and I'm one of thousands of people who are stuck with the same problem, but I have made them have to react. They have actually assigned a lawyer to my case, and presumably at some point in the future I will talk to this lawyer and we can hopefully resolve this issue. I don't want much. 6 months ago I'd have just said, hey, I just want access to my account back, but that was 6 months ago, and this has had a substantial financial impact on me. But more than that, I've seen the scope of this problem, and I've had dozens of people reach out to me, and it makes me realize that I'm kind of burdened with a responsibility to try and help people who are in the same issue, the same problem as me. But this court case, the fact that they actually are reacting to it, the fact that something is going ahead, is me making this big giant corporation bleed. And if you can bleed, you can kill them. I'm not planning on killing Facebook. I don't have the means to kill Facebook. I don't want to kill Facebook. I love Facebook. I want to get back into Facebook because Facebook is such a powerful tool for an entrepreneur. But when you are that powerful a tool, you have a responsibility for people who use that tool. And Facebook are shirking their responsibility, and they're impacting people's lives. If you are somebody like me who has found their career going into the direction of being one of those social media douchebags, then getting kicked out of your Facebook account through no fault of your own can be financially devastating. And I'm privileged enough to be in a situation where I can have a legitimate legal complaint against Facebook. And I just hope that I am able to also help other people who have been struck with the same problem. Because it's not fair, it's not right. It really isn't. I know Facebook is a private business, but it's a private business that exists by using its users as the product. And therefore, I think every single Facebook user has some skin in the game. In legal terms, I studied law for 2 years, contract law back in England. Bet you didn't know that. In a contract, there's something called consideration, which is where you give somebody something in consideration for a service. That's why when you have, people donating things to somebody else, they're like, I donated it to him. I sold it to him for the superficial sum of $1. By buying something for $1, $1 is a meaningless amount of money. It's practically a gift. But having to sign a contract and say I'm buying it for $1, that makes it a legally binding contract because of that thing, consideration. And as a Facebook user, I think what we're approaching now is a situation where the personal information you have given Facebook and the patronage of their system makes you a product. In some ways, you have given consideration to Facebook by providing them this stuff in consideration for them providing you access to their social network. And I think that means as we go down the line, Facebook are going to be held legally responsible for giving users access to their platform. They can kick them off, fine, but they have to have a reason for kicking them off. And if they don't have a reason for kicking somebody off, if they don't deliberately kick somebody off, and somebody loses access to some technical problem, that person has a right to have access to their account restored. And I'm going to have access to my account restored. I am, definitely. And I'm going to speak very politely to Facebook, and I'm sure Facebook will very politely speak to me, and hopefully we can work out some way so that I feel compensated for the damage that they have caused my business and my career. But I really hope that in the future I'm able to come back and make a video and say, hey, I've had a conversation with Facebook and been able to find some way to help other people impacted by the same issue have their access to their accounts restored. Because Facebook needs to do that. And yeah, Facebook is this big, unassailable behemoth. But thanks to the legal system, thanks to all of these old men in white wigs in 1776 who said every single man has inalienable rights, I am able to get just that drop of blood from Facebook and hopefully get them to take my problem seriously. And through that, hopefully I can get them to take other people's problems seriously as well. Facebook has become such a big entity, and it has such a huge impact in the online ecosystem that we've got to stop looking at it as just a private business, and we start needing to look at it as something bigger than that has responsibilities to the people who use it. I think all social media is getting to the stage where it needs to be viewed like that. So I will keep you updated. I'm not going to give too much information away because hopefully I'm able to make a settlement with Facebook. I'm always going to think of myself first, and if Facebook come back to me and we are able to reach an agreement, hopefully I can get access to my account restored and and feel like they've taken my problem seriously and moved forward from that. But I really am going to try and fight to make sure there is some route for other people impacted by this to get access to their account restored as well. So watch the space, and I will keep you updated as soon as I have something to update you with. I'm Roland Hume. I've sold 67,000 copies of my books. If you want to find out how I did it, I've got the link right here you can click. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I've got more videos coming soon. Thank you.